My name is robbrindlow and I am going to draw you my life for all you people out in YouTube land. I grew up in Crawley, which is halfway between London and Brighton in West Sussex, which is part of the United Kingdom. I grew up there with my parents who met during a concert and one day decided that they wanted to have a family, and they decided after a while my brother was to be born. Then later, 4 years later to be precise, they had me. My dad is an electrical engineer who up until last year decided to take a retirement from Gatwick Airport, where he was there for about 40 years and worked hard enough, and we have lots of luxuries. My mum used to work for a restaurant as the head waitress, but then decided that she wanted to go into hotel management, so she took over the hotel that was running at the same place. I was born nearly in Sainsbury's in the bakery department, which kind of explains why I like pudding. But thankfully, people around that point decided that a pregnant woman at a shopping trolley was a good thing to get out of the way of. So I was unfortunately born in a hospital. I grew up a few years later, believe it or not, with lots of friends hanging around with me. And then the first day I decided, no, I'm going to go to school. But hang on, I don't know what school is. And I cried like nothing else. And my parents didn't come back for me until later. Then one day, when I was older, I was up at my cousin's house and I was shown a manga program called Akira. And it was opening my eyes that day. And I decided one day I'd show it to my mates Dave and Louis, who were just about the same age as me. And it was kind of us three hanging out together all of the time we could. My friends and I used to do everything that you can think of as a kid, including sledding one time down a really steep hill into 3 other people. Then one day I got my first bike and decided I would ride it everywhere. Me and that bike were inseparable. And another thing I found out I was good at was running track. I was actually quite fast for a person of my age and competed a couple of times. Then one day I realised that something wasn't quite right. Turns out I have a condition known as nerve deafness, which I'll explain later in another film. And it has affected me all my life. The only way I found this out was by being chucked into many MRI scanners to be scanned over and over and over again, and they are really not that fun. Mainly because I was subjected to 45 minutes of listening to terrible music. This also included Bryan Adams, The Cause and Savage Garden. Not a good thing. And this kind of put me into a bit of a sad spot. The first big thing I'd ever had in my life personally affecting me. But I had a teacher who I respected more than anything, who pulled me out of my little dark place and showed me there was hope in that huge sea of things. Then when I got older, I ended up going to college. And I really wasn't prepared for that. But I met loads of friends out there. And I was an average student, I got decent enough grades, but I felt after a while I could do a little bit better. And I tried my best, but as you can see, needed a little bit more work. And at that point I decided, I'll go get my first job. Everyone in college went up to the airport because it was hiring at the time and it was good money for a few months' work. And it was absolutely shit, this job. I absolutely hated it, cleaning tables in the South Terminal. And then after that, I got my second job working for an ice cream and biscuit shop in our local mall called Baskin Robbins. And that was okay, but then I decided to continue going to school, so I went back to the sixth form college. And then after that, I decided to go and get another job in my local DIY shop called Homebase, where I got put in charge of all the homeworld stuff. And I quite liked it. Then after a couple of years, I decided to go to Southampton Uni. And I should point out I was only there for a week. After an incident, I didn't like it. When I came back, I was found out I couldn't stick around, so I went and got a job at Virgin Atlantic. I was a data input clerk where I used to sit there and just price flights. It was the most boring job in the world, but the people there were nice, so, you put up with what you've got. But after 8 years, I decided, nope, enough is enough. I need a holiday, since I've not had one, and I'm going to have a decent one. So I ended up going to the nice little area called Canada. Specifically, I went to Toronto. And during that time, I went round the CN Tower, I went to Niagara Falls, I went round all the shops and got given some money for free by a hobo. And then I found out they have wine. Unfortunately, as it turns out, I'm allergic to wine and I can't drink it. It gives me those chronic headaches and hangovers afterwards. But then when I came back from my holiday, all my friends have found new other halves and girlfriends and such, and I was kind of left alone and kind of a bit sad, really. They all kind of deserted me. And it wasn't very happy. But then in 2004, I discovered YouTube, and that's when I formed an idea. I had collected a lot of manga since Akira, and I decided I'm going to make some music videos. As it turns out, it's quite good. And also films and such. So, as well as that, I decided to make my own little videos, but they turned out to be rubbish. Especially when you can only get people to help you. And I just decided after that, 4 years worth, I got bored of making them because there was nothing else to do. So, I came up with an idea. I'm going to sort out my life. And I went on to Match.com, where I met one girl who kind of thought she was an alien and she wanted to do some all manner of weird things. Then I met another girl from US who was basically over here because she wanted to cheat on her boyfriend. Then the third girl was actually cheating on her boyfriend. She was a nice girl, but she had about 5 kids from 5 different people, and I thought I'd nip that in the bud. And then I met my girlfriend, who was absolutely lovely, and she has this affection with cats. And after that, I decided, no, you know what? I'm quite happy. I'm gonna stick with this girl. We decided when we were going out to go out and do the usual things like go on a holiday, going to the cinema. At one point we were going to do rock climbing, but that really didn't start off. Then we decided one day we're going to move out, and we got our own little flat, which was on the top floor, and it was usually covered in rain and full of spiders as well. But then after 8 years of working at Virgin, I found out I was going to lose my job. And it was the first time this had ever happened. And I was quite upset when I found out that all my friends and I were going to have to be thrown out. This kind of put me in a very, very dark place, like the time when I found out about my hearing, and I really didn't know how to cope, and I hit the bottle hard, unfortunately. And I was sad, Rob. But then after that, I decided I'm going to pull myself out, and I just proposed to my wife, who said yes, thankfully, after she jumped on me. And then I proposed again. And it was pretty decent. Then my life got even better. I got a brand new job working for a duty-free company up near Gatwick. After a couple of years, me and my girlfriend decided to get hitched. And we have been married now for nearly a year. We went on our honeymoon. We decided to go to San Fran and drive down to Los Angeles, which was a knackering drive, but it was so worth it. Now, the future. What does it hold for us? Well, we moved out of our old flat and we moved into a new one, which was bigger and had more space. But we'd like to build or buy a house of our own one day. I still have my job up at the duty-free place, and it's still quite difficult, but I'm far better at it than I was with the Virgin job, and the people are much nicer, and we have all staff sales. And one of the little problems I've had now is that I'm now losing weight quite nicely because I was quite fat. But for the future for us two, we're going to see how it goes, but hopefully it'll have a little Rob or a little Jen at some point, and we'll be one big happy family. And you know what? One day we might get a cat. I'm told we're getting a cat. We call him Oscar. Well, thanks for watching, and if at all possible, have yourself a bit of a nice day.